Hello, my dear. Rhonda Constant, your favorite hometown medium, physical energy healer, oracle card advisor, paranormal investigator, voice for your loved ones. You've done this before, you know how it works. I just always like to remind people this is not an exact science. Sometimes you got to stretch it outside the box a little bit. They won't give me all the details. They'll give me just enough so you should understand what he's talking about. And so we're gonna talk to your dad today. He always starts out with the same picture. There's a camper, there's water, there's fishing poles, there's a campfire, lawn chairs, but it looks like it's close to a house. But it seems like every time I do a reading with him, he has this picture. Give me just a second. So he stands, this is my right side, it may not make any difference. But he comes up, he's always just like right here, like right behind you, like right. You should feel that. You should, sometimes, I don't know how you will receive the energy because we all feel it different, but it could feel like a bubble pushing on you. It could just feel like a change in the air pressure. He says you will smell his cologne, his aftershave, his something that he used when he got cleaned up. And he actually puts his face down next to yours, and you feel the little scruffle of his whiskers, like when he didn't shave for a day or so. And you should feel that on your cheek. Show me again. Like he puts his head right here and moves his cheek so that you get the bristle of his whiskers. It could, like I said, I don't know how you'll feel it. It could feel like warmth. It could feel like sticky over here. It could feel like something crawling or hair that you can't get rid of. It could feel like hot. It could feel like a chill. But you should feel the change in the air pressure, the push of a bubble or something, because he's all there. And like, actually, Bob usually comes over here and my ear will get bright red, burn like fire. That's their energy. And one time it was like the whole side of my face right here was burning hot. So I thought, I'm getting the virus. So I got the thermometer out, clicked here, perfect. Clicked over here and the alarm went off. I mean, it can actually get physically, you can see it, feel it, hot. Don't know if you'll feel it that way. I'm just explaining that so you know. And you should get the smell of his aftershave or whatever he used right when he got cleaned up to go somewhere. Usually it's just a little whiff of it. Whenever you get any of these signs, validate him, acknowledge him, tell him you love him, and ask him to bring you more. That's your free will choice if you want more. But you need to ask. It does help. Okay, he shows himself casting out fishing pole. He must have loved fishing. Reeling in, casting out, reeling in, sitting in a lawn chair. There's an empty lawn chair next to him. He's patting the seat. Patting the seat next to him. I want you to sit there. So if you truly want to feel him, since he loved the outdoors so much, and of course, I think you probably live up north. I'm not sure. Little cold to be sitting in a lawn chair outside by the water. But this is one way I connect with my Bob, is you can do it visually. So if you can learn how to visualize, it's like you're dreaming it, but you're awake. Imagine 2 lawn chairs sitting by the creek bank. And we have green grass, and we have the peaceful trees and water flowing and all that. Fishing poles, 2 lawn chairs. That's where I meet Bob. It's not crazy. It's real. Well, I am a little crazy. I talk to dead people. Try visualizing that. Don't do it like, gotta have it, gotta have it. You have to be relaxed. You have to just imagine. Just daydream. It's daydreaming, basically. Imagine that you're sitting in that lawn chair. He's sitting in one next to you. He's reaching his hand out to you. Imagine sitting there. He's reaching his hand out, and you reach your hand out. Hold your hand out. Ask him to hold your hand. You should feel a warmth, a pressure. Sometimes, like when I'm walking down by the river and I do my woo-woo music in my ear and I ask somebody to walk with me and hold my hand, sometimes it actually feels like they're actually physically holding my hand, but we don't have physical hands anymore. We don't need them. We'll leave that heavy body stuff here. So, give that a try. Just relax it. Ask him to hold your hand. Hold your hand out. And see what you feel. And it might take buku multiple attempts, and it might take one. It just depends. Just trust. He says you are not opening yourself up to something bad. They won't let that happen. There's nothing to be scared of. He says you're kind of afraid there might be a boogeyman out there that's going to slip in. They're not going to let that happen. He's calling somebody short shit. I don't know if he's talking to you or somebody else that you know, that he knew. But find a beautiful scene by the water with fishing poles, because that's what's going to be more peaceful and going to attract him more than other stuff. If that made any sense, other stuff. He has popped in and out of your dreams. He's just shown like popping in for a second and popping out, popping in for a second, popping out. I don't always tell people I don't have dreams. I never remember my dreams. Very rarely. But if he appears in your dream, and you know how when you wake up, your dream starts fading, it just starts melting away. 30 seconds after you open your eyes, put a piece of paper and pen by your bed. That's a dream. But you do get messages through your dreams. I don't get shit. But a true visitation I had, and they don't happen very often, it seems like, the true visitation. I don't know if it's hard for them to do or what the reason is I don't get them very often anyway, but I don't dream anyway. I had one 7 or 8 years ago. I still remember everything that was said, every picture on the wall, him walking out the back door because I asked him to go get something, just exactly how it happened. And it's never faded. You'll remember the color shoelaces they had on. I mean, anything like that. So know if you get one like that he has truly visited you. I'm not sure that he has done it yet. Ask him to. I can't promise he's going to. He's when we get up there, and I might have told you this before, they strip us like an onion. They peel those layers off of us, you know, like you peel layers off an onion. All the heavy crap, all the negative stuff, all the heavy, heavy crap, so that our vibration is lighter and brighter, and we work on our healing and cleansing, our soul, our spirit. He's still got some guilt. He's got guilt for the way he left. So I don't know if you've had a true visitation from him because of his guilt and thinking maybe he shouldn't. Not worthy. He says not worthy. Talk to him. Promise you 1,000% he can hear you and see you. Don't beg, don't push, because that actually pushes it away. If you do it too, like that, just ask him to. It may take a while. It may take a while for him to decide to. Somebody's had one. Somebody's had a visitation from him where he apologized, but he's not saying who it was. And it's probably none of our business. He says you're still mad at him. He didn't think it was time for a visitation. That you're still pissed off at him. But that's starting to melt a little bit. That you don't understand why he left the way he did. And that's part of his guilt right now, that he's working on releasing. Okay, so before we come here, before we're born, we actually decide an exit point. It can be when you're 1 day old, it can be when you're 100 years old. That timeline can waver a little bit, but it'll still be around that time. Sometimes it wavers because of what's going on around you, what people are going to learn, what people are going to see. And he said he cheated himself. Sometimes people leave the way he did because they're supposed to, because of what people are supposed to learn from it. Or, I don't know if you believe in past lives, where somebody did it to us before, so we do it back to them. That gets very complicated to explain in a minute on a video. But anyway, he said, yes, he was supposed to be here longer. He cheated it. He made his free will choice. He cheated it. He shouldn't have. He says, but guess what? We don't go to hell for it. We do not go to hell. There is no hell. He says there's only love, acceptance, peace, and he's shown like a whole bunch of angels like surround him and just shared so much love on him. You're okay. No judgment. There is no judgment. There's only peace and love. He says, I'm not condoning it. It's wrong. And I still have to learn up here what I was supposed to learn down there. And I put a whole bunch of shit on everybody else's back. And for that, I'm sorry. So he says it will be a little easier on you when you finally truly decide to forgive him. And you might have already been at the point. I've been through this. I totally understand the whole thing. You might think you've forgiven, but deep down, you're still fucking pissed. Still haven't quite forgiven. He says, because you're saying it's not right. It's not right. When you're truly at the point where you can have peace with it, forgive it, realize it had nothing to do with you. He said it had everything to do with him. then that's when you're going to find total peace with it. And it's been 9 years. I don't know if I found total peace with my Bob leaving that way either. Or the dog crying. It's a killer. I don't know if you or somebody else in your family has a young one. A small, looks like a girl. Very, very young. I'm not going to try to guess the age. He interacts with this one, and it's so common for animals and very small children to see them, talk to them, play with them. Everybody's had an imaginary friend, whether you remember it or not, when you were little. When you get to be around 9 or 10, then you kind of look around, you go, oh, society's going to say I'm crazy because I see my friend, my loved one, whatever, and nobody else can see them. And then they start shutting it down. So know that this child, very pretty little girl, sees him, interacts with him, and it's almost, oh, was it E.T.? That's what it's like. If you know who this girl is, or if it's yours, and you see her going like this, because he's reaching his finger down, and they're touching fingers. And it's almost like a little game with them. So if you see her going like this at the air, that's because she's playing with your dad. So when this child gets old enough to talk, if she's not already, listen to what she says. Don't push it, don't coax it, just let it happen. Unless you want to shut it down. And I'll get to that in a second. Because if you put ideas in her head, then that just messes things up. Just listen. She might be feeding a cookie to somebody in the air, and she's not really. He's showing that he sits cross-legged on the floor. Pat's beside him. She runs over, sits down and sits cross-legged next to him. And they sit there and they just chat, talk. So if you see her sitting cross-legged, and she probably doesn't have to be sitting cross-legged. That's just the way he's showing it. And she's just chatting to, babbling to, you think nothing, you think she's just babbling. Pay attention to the words she's saying. Don't push it, don't coax it. She could, when she gets old enough, if she's not already, go point at his picture and go, Papa. Because she knows him. She's very comfortable with him. And when I go to cleanse houses and people go, oh, my house is haunted, come over here. And I always use this one girl. She had tons of spirit in her house. I mean, that was like a revolving door. But she had 4 grandparents. We got rid of the rest of them, left the 4 grandparents. If the grandparent was an asshole, then you need to make the grandparent go too. But most of the time, when there's somebody like that in there, we leave those in there because they help protect, they help guide, they sing lullabies to them when they go to sleep, all of those things. So unless you want him removed, it's perfectly safe. They're pals. Is there a dog? Now he's showing a dog, and I'm not sure what. It's a larger dog. Oh, looks a little like kind of like a lab. It's a lighter colored, but it looks like it's got too much hair on its tail. Labs have slick hair on its tail, but it's showing a little bit of hair on the tails. So I'm not sure, but it's that size of dog, that type of body, that kind of that build. And it could be part lab. So I don't know if somebody has this dog or if this dog is passed and he's letting somebody know that he has it with him. I'm not sure I feel like that the dog is with him. So if somebody has this dog, tell them to watch the dog. The dog sees him, the dog hears him, the dog wags its tail. So when it's wagging its tail and it's looking at nothing, it's because it sees him. Animals haven't been told you can't have an imaginary friend. You can't see them. So they're very intuitive. My Yorkie that passed away, she used to come under the table and start spinning around every time spirit came in. I started doing a reading because she was overly sensitive and she was trying to protect me because somebody strange was here. Okay, he says you're kind of muddling along. Kind of muddling along like almost like there's a cloud in your head, like a fog, like a heaviness. A whole bunch of that is to do with him. He says that's going to lift. He's not saying how long that's going to take, but that's probably totally up to you because it's your free will choice whether to hang on to that forever. And I don't mean hang on to him. I mean hang on to it's like you look here and you look there and you look there and you go, you just don't see where you want to move forward. Maybe a little bit of depression, but that's the heaviness from him, from all that stuff with him that is going to lift. And when it does, then he's shown like this big bright sun. You will still take him with you, but it'll be in a different way. It will be in a much brighter, lighter, happier, sunshiny way. When you get to that point where it starts to lift, don't hang on to it. Let it get lighter. He said it's okay for it to get lighter. It's not that you are disrespecting me, that you are disrespecting my memory. You're not supposed to be sad forever. A lot of people, after their loved one passes away, and it's a normal process to go through, when they start smiling and laughing and having fun again, they feel guilty because they don't think they should, because they should still be sad over their loved one leaving. That's what he's talking about. Don't keep yourself there. Don't make it stay that way because you think you should still be sad over it. He says, celebrate my life. Celebrate me. Switch it up a little bit. It's hard to do. I know. I've been through this. Still going through it. Something about how would you like to share my memory? Do you always want it to be the heavy towards the end? Or can you go back to when it was lighter and brighter and laughs and fun? Now he's going back to that camper, that scene with the camper, being outdoors, feeling free, having a beer, kids running. He's showing kids running around. Just very lighthearted over here, very heavy over here. Like that was towards the end. He says it had nothing to do with you. Nothing. And that was hard for me to deal with. So I totally understand. He says you're just still going through the process. And it takes a while. So don't be discouraged with yourself, because it's a normal process. Just don't hang on to it. Let it flow through. He says the name, and we stink at names, and nicknames count too, but he said the name, it sounded like Harriet, like Harriett, like Harriet. So I don't know if you know somebody named Harriet. If not, it's a female with an HHA name. She feels more like an aunt, or I don't know if an aunt to him or an aunt to you. Feels more like an aunt. He says, and not the little bug crawling either. That could have been a joke between him and her. For some reason, he's acknowledging her. Feel like she's still here. Could be there with him. I can't. Sometimes they don't let me feel that part. No, he says she's there. Feels like an aunt. I always tell people the little lady next door can feel more like a grandmother to you than your real blood grandmother that lives clear across the country that you rarely talk to. So just keep that in mind. It's the relationship that you feel. It's not always blood. Your hair looks beautiful. But you always were beautiful. And he goes, I made that. He doesn't like this. He doesn't like the sadness in you, and the sadness that you're trying to hide now because other people are going. You're not over that yet? Why are you still feeling that way? Shame on you. He says, don't let him do that to you. Don't let him do that to you. So you're hiding it. You're shoving it down. It's your boat to row. It's your, he said, path. Path. I wouldn't use path as, shouldn't contradict him. It's yours. Don't let anybody make you feel guilty about it. Just don't stay there. You are beautiful, and I love you. So I'm hearing this ringing, but it's kind of off in the distance. It's not like right up in my ear. It's kind of like back a ways from me a little bit. It's very faint ringing, like ringing of a bell. So pay attention where you hear ringing off in the distance a little bit, like not right here. And okay, that'll be another sign. So validate him, acknowledge him, tell him you love him, and ask him to bring you more if you want more. What is he holding up? Hang on. He's holding up one big blade of green grass. And I always ask them to do something unique because everybody knows about feathers and coins and stuff. Need something unique for the loved one here. So watch for, well, this is different. One big blade of green grass. You might find one on the dash of your vehicle. You'd be surprised what shows up on the dash of my truck. When I get out of it, lock it, leave it somewhere, windows up, come back and there'll be something on the dash. Or could be on your kitchen counter. Could be in weird maybe not weird places, but out of the ordinary places, you'll find a blade of green grass. I haven't gotten feathers in a long time, but I started collecting feathers because I was finding they were just popping up everywhere. Bob's slacking. Slacking, Bob. Okay, with that, he's going to leave. And yeah, this time of year, I don't know if we have any green grass. I'm in Kansas. I don't know what my yard looks like, but it's colder than shit here. It's okay. He's going to leave you with that. Try the lawn chairs. Daydream it. It will eventually work. And just trust that what you're seeing and feeling is real. It's not going to hurt. That's what he said. He said it's not going to hurt. Okay, he's leaving. Much love to you, my dear. Thank you for allowing me to be his voice. Rhonda Constant, your favorite hometown medium, physical energy healer, oracle card advisor, paranormal investigator, voice for your loved ones. Later.